Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a second since last video because I was in Europe traveling, which was great. It was great. But now I'm back and the Grievous video is coming out soon. My goal is tomorrow. Um, I just am really, you see, when I start making a story, I don't stop. Like, it's this thing that I keep growing it, I keep expanding it, I keep doing things to it, so it takes a while for me to make it a concrete thing that I put out. Because then I go into side characters and I keep expanding it and shrinking it and changing it and expanding it again. So I just play with my stories a lot. So it takes me a little longer than the average person. I could have just released it a while ago, but I was like, this is basic, and I don't want that to be kind of what is released. So it's really big now. But yeah, so I'm just doing a quick Sade live here, just so we can cover a couple things that have been of recent occurrence within Star Wars. Most importantly, George Lucas randomly doing a panel at Comic-Con, which I think he is way above Comic-Con, and I'm surprised that he is doing that. I'm very surprised he's doing that. Now with that said, I guess we'll just start there. Well, no. First, we have big things to cover. So first, Obi-Wan Season 2 is confirmed, supposedly. And that's cool. We're gonna see Ewan again. That's always great, but I don't want to see a second season if it's gonna suck like the first one did. So we're gonna need a lot better writers working on this season 2. It cannot be the same group of people. It has to be a different director. Deborah Chow needs to be let go. We cannot have Joby Harold. That guy destroyed the first season. Oh my gosh, he is horrible. I mean the fact that he'd write that scene, that first chase scene with Leia and the three guys, I think that just shows his ability as a writer in general. Even outside of Star Wars, like, he's just not good, clearly, and he's just someone who bought his way into Hollywood, clearly, because that ain't talent, man. And I've seen talent, that is not talent. Yeah, even when it came to like the physical writing, it was terrible. So that show was disgustingly bad. There was a couple good scenes. I liked the scene where Vader went through the whole village and he was like slaughtering people. That was really well done. The last fight between Vader and Obi-Wan was really well done. I guess the scene with Vader getting his suit put on, and having it juxtaposed with Obi-Wan, that was really cool. The Vader Palpatine scene was really good. And there's this one moment with Obi-Wan. Oh yeah, the Qui-Gon scene was cool. And then there's another moment with Obi-Wan like walking through the desert at I think it's the first episode of the show that was just really beautiful. John Williams was going crazy there. So that was great too. But that's literally the only good things that came out of that show. The flashback scene, to be honest, felt so pointless. Like, they very clearly just threw that in there to have it there. But it was so pointless. The choreography wasn't even that good. They didn't even make Hayden and Ewan look that good. They looked very, like, costumey and, like, old but not old. Like, the de-aging was terrible. I don't think they even de-aged at all. Yeah, so not great. So that's that. I mean, that could go, if they make it great, it's great. If they don't, it's just gonna suck, and that's kind of where we are right now. Yeah. So that's that. The next thing was, I guess, Rian Johnson's trilogy was never even really worked on. We got a statement from him today, that he said basically it was purely conceptual, naughty. They didn't even jot ideas down. There was no structure, no outline. It was just simply an idea. It was a phrase, oh, what if we did a trilogy on this? And they did nothing with it, which I'm very glad. So that is not happening. So that's really great to hear. Because that man cannot be in eyesight distance of Lucasfilm Limited ever again. He ruined the fandom. He ruined the fandom. That man destroyed the fandom. Like I've said 1,000 times. I probably say that at least who knows how many times, like a month, dude. That guy wrecked this fandom to the ground, so he cannot be even within visible distance of Lucasfilm ever again. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him again. And even when it comes to when I watch his movies outside of Star Wars, it taints them for me because I'm like, oh, he's the guy who ruined the brand. It's like, yeah. So that is that too. So now we have the big piece, which is, like I said earlier, George Lucas himself is going to be at a panel at San Diego Comic-Con. George Lucas. Since when does he show up to anything like that? This is such a rare opportunity to see him. Who knows if we'll ever be able to have an opportunity like this again. This is just an so incredibly rare of a thing. He's very, I don't know. I kind of isolationist when it comes to that stuff. And he said it too. He doesn't like the whole celebrity famous part of his career. He likes just kind of living his life, and he doesn't bask in the fame and in the materialistic, I guess, life that most people in that industry have, so he doesn't go to a lot of things like that. He doesn't go to the Star Wars premiere. He doesn't go to anything Lucasfilm anymore because they totally betrayed him and threw him under the bus, and he accepts that and is pissed at them, so he doesn't give them anything, which is fair. Honestly, I respect that. That's totally respectable that he just kind of, threw them away. As they threw him away. It's fair. Why would he keep going to their stuff and giving them, it's just not. The only thing he did was Indiana Jones. And, I guess he liked the movie. I liked the movie too, but I guess it was good enough for him to want to produce on it. Because you can't buy that man out, so he must have legitimately liked it, or liked the concept of it or something. He is at the point where he doesn't need $1 more than he has already. So, I really liked it too. So I understand that wholeheartedly. So yeah, so it's a panel for the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, which, if you didn't know, I'm a very low tier press person for that. Very, very low tier. They basically just are like, hey, we can put your name on a list and you'll be technically part of our press group where you're gonna, we'll release things to this press kit and you'll have access to it, and you'll promote it, and then something about you can level up or whatever. But I'm very barely I wouldn't say I'm part of the Lucas Museum team, because that's crazy, but I'm involved with the advertising part a tiny bit. And I've been waiting for this museum forever, because this is like George's legacy built in a physical space, that even past his lifetime, this will be there for people to always love and enjoy and see the importance of visual storytelling. And that's really what it is. Above anything else, above having Star Wars stuff or whatever, it's about visual storytelling and the power of that and its influence through pieces of art, various pieces of art. That's what, that whole museum is about. It's about narrative visual art. And that's powerful because a lot of times you go to museums and it's just like a bunch of pictures on the walls. They don't tell you why they're there. And it's like you go to art museums, it's just like, it's just like, wow, someone scribbled all over a wall. Cool. I'm not going to spend an hour figuring out what the scribble means, but this museum, George's museum, I'm doing a little advertising here, but I don't care. George's museum is, you don't have to look very hard. You're going to see these paintings and you're going to see the stories that are set in them. And then you get to imagine the rest of that story out in your head when you're there. And then that inspires you to tell your own stories based on that painting you saw or whatever. It's really supposed to inspire the next generation of creatives, which is us, people like, my age group. We're the next generation and we have a lot of work to do. We really do. We have a lot of work to do because, the industry's getting much better. I will say, this year of films have been really solid so far, and I'm very happy about that. A big change from last year. Last year was a disaster for film making. God, it was horrible. This year, however, big improvement, but still, we have a lot of work to do to get back to where we were in like the 90s, 2000s area again, and I think that's where most of us are aiming. Most of the people who love cinema, love blockbusters, love big movies that make millions of dollars, that, movies that are iconic, those kinds of things. So the vast majority of people kind of want movies back in that area from what I've seen. And then there's the little group of people who like the weird A24 stuff because they think it gives them status. But it doesn't, but my point being is that museum is it's like a charger for your creative battery. You go to that museum and it's going to inspire you, it's going to charge up your creative brain, and then you're going to leave and you're going to go to whatever space you're in to write, to draw, do whatever. And you'll have all that power and inspiration to create better stories. So it's really a powerful device for any storyteller, and I will probably become a member of that museum. A very good chance, depends on the price, but there's a very good chance that I'm going to be a member of that museum once it opens. But, it's thrilling to get a George Lucas museum so close to me. It's quite incredible. But there's a lot of really famous people involved, which brings me to the next piece. Guillermo del Toro and Doug Chiang are both going to be at that panel with George. So not only do you get the greatest film creator in the world ever, you get Doug Chiang, one of the best conceptual design people out there as well, and Guillermo del Toro, a very successful, very incredible, very talented, visionary creator director there as well. So I mean, that's incredible. That is a crazy trio to have on there. That's insane, honestly, that's even happening. I don't know how they secured that, but man, is this year for Comic-Con so much better than last year, and this year I couldn't get tickets. Like, because, getting tickets for Comic-Con's a lottery, if you didn't know, for San Diego. It's like, it just puts you through the system and selects random people to get tickets, and I just didn't get selected. So I bought mine for Sunday only, for the George Day only, at an insane price. like triple the price, I think. Maybe double or triple the price. I forget how much they are at the start. I paid $240 something for a Sunday pass from a reseller, hoping that that's real and legit just so I can go see George. Literally, like, this is a big deal to so many people, you know, and that's, I think, special that this is even happening, you know, and I think it shows really the importance of this museum and to George, you know, is that he's really wanting people to check it out. He wants it to get out there, and he knew that this is how he's going to reach his old fans, you know, and his old supporters, and, you know, his people. Because to be honest, Star Wars Celebration is not where his people are. Star Wars Celebration is polluted with Disney fans, Disney shills, and is connected to Lucasfilm, so he can't speak his true mind there because it's connected to them. And this is not. Comic-Con is not run by Lucasfilm. It's not run by Disney. So he can go there independently, you know, and speak his mind unfiltered to his real audience, you know, which is nice. So this is going to feel a lot less shilly. I have a good feeling it's going to be a lot better of a audience than like a Star Wars Celebration would. I you know, Celebration is really cool. It's a really cool event. I don't want to make it sound like it's lame. It's a very cool event, but the people who go there are pretty shilly for the most part, which is unfortunate. But there's a few of us there. There's some of us, you know, who are kind of sprinkled in there, but for the most part, it's just mainstream media people and the fake sponsor fans and all those people. But yeah, you know, this is not funded by Disney, so all those shills don't get to just go. If they want to go, they're going to have to wait in the like 6-hour line to get in, maybe even camp overnight to get in, because George doesn't want them on their press list, but he'll have me on his press list. You know, it's like, see, it just shows you. It just shows what, like, and I know George had nothing to do with putting me on the list. It was someone on his team, but still, it just goes to show you how Disney doesn't like me very much. And George Lucas's team does. And it's like that shows you kind of the power of staying true to yourself. And not claiming to love George Lucas and love Star Wars and getting to be with the Disney, you know, and not getting to be with George Lucas, who you claim you love so much or whatever. And if you were that big of a content creator who loved George Lucas so much, you'd easily get on there, but you don't. Because they see you lying. They see you promoting garbage like The Acolyte and all this crap, you know, and never once talking bad, like not talking bad, but criticizing what Disney's doing to this brand, you know. But George and his people see that, and they're like, this guy's sticking up for George. We're going to put him on the list. And that means double to me than Disney putting me on their list so I can go to the red carpet premiere of Skeleton Crew. You know, like, I don't care. I don't want to be on that list, dude, because to be honest, it just makes me look bad. It makes me look like all those other guys who aren't even Star Wars fans, who are these influencers with big followings, who get paid by Disney to fake like they like Star Wars to advertise it everywhere. Because that is how these studios advertise now. They don't sell as many toys. They don't put up as many posters. Why? Because everyone's stuck in their phone and screen now. So, you know, everyone's living in screens. That's just how it is. You know, that's how things have moved. So they have to adapt. Because that's what you do when you run a good business. You adapt. And they adapted. And I think they could have done it in a better way where it wasn't so fucking fake. But now we have these people online who literally are not even real fans of the certain brand, of the certain thing. They are contacted based on their number of followers and asked by that such company, whatever, can you do this, this, and this, and advertise this for us? We'll pay you this, and we'll give you boxes of this. We'll put you on our Instagram. You will get this, this, and that. And they're like, yeah, look, I'm going to be famous now. Look, I'm going to get this X amount of money. And they do it. That's literally what happens. So you have these, and honestly, Saber Theory, not Theory Sabers. Theory Sabers is Star Wars Theory's company, and he is the GOAT. There's a different company called Saber Theory. They do this too. They're not even a corporation, and they do this. Luke's lightsabers, Cassiana Posey, so many people online. Saber Theory pays them, plants their room with Star Wars posters, just a couple. There's always, it's very always minimalistic, one or two. They plant the rooms, they buy them those, then they give them these sabers and have them act like they love Star Wars so that they can advertise their saber company everywhere. That's the level of authenticity we are at in the modern day on social media. Where how about you contact an actual fan who will be triple as passionate, but, they might have a little less, audience. No, let me contact some hoe who has 200,000 followers on Instagram and a link tree to OnlyFans and ship her lightsabers so she can pretend like she's a fan, but then off camera, she sticks it in herself. That's like what these companies prefer because they're dirty and Jewish. And we don't, this is really where we're at now in the modern age with advertising and everything. And, it's like I miss the authenticity. And that's what I love about George and his people is they are so authentic. They put me on the press squad. Sure, I'm lowered here, which I shouldn't be hired to because I'm not like this. Well, if we're talking about fan-wise, yes, I should be. But realistically, on paper, my channel is 3,000 subs. So on the overall scale of YouTube, that's quite small. And that makes sense, but they put, look, I don't remember if I even put my YouTube channel. I just wrote a thing about how much I love George and love Star Wars and how I've stuck my neck out for him at every turn and that this museum is generational, and it is, and I meant every word. I wasn't just shilling. I meant every word. That and how just important that the mission of this museum is, and how it's vital to the survival of creativity in the industry, and how it will open kids' minds up who have been brainwashed by this rhetoric of I need to make everything super artsy so that the Academy will like me and so that I can be at Diddy parties with Sydney Sweeney and all these stupid Hollywood idiots and all the A24 directors and producers and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no. George is showing you how to tell a really cool, large, interesting story where you can really make it by telling your own stories and just living off of that and not living off of some other person's living off out of fear of not getting an award. George wants to show you how to tell a real good story and your own unique vision to where no one is telling you need to make your movie look like this or this is what's trending. He's like, no, be completely original. Do something crazy. What did George do? He put the Jedi rocks scene in Return of the Jedi. This guy put Jar Jar Binks, Ben Quadineros. He did whatever he wanted to, and it worked. And he had this $4 billion brand that he had curated up until 2012. And that's insane. And you need people who are absolutely fearless and unfiltered in this industry. Because I think that's the biggest issue, honestly, is all these kids now are so stuck in being in an aesthetic and being in a trendy space that they don't what is it? They don't they don't it's like they are original technically, but then they're not. Because all their ideas are from the only movie they've ever watched in their life or a series of Instagram reels. That's really how it is now, and it's quite unfortunate. And that's why I feel I'm the only one actually trying to make movies. It's like everyone else is like, and not just like directing, because everyone thinks they're a director and they're not, making, meaning being involved in the process of making a film when it comes to producing mainly. That's my whole thing. Or writing. Those are my two things. But when you make a film, which is videos filmed on little crappy old used vintage film cameras of grass and words on the grass, that's not a film. That is a YouTube video that looks really gorgeous. Okay? A film has a story, has a script, has characters, teaches you something. That's a film. That you don't show in theaters. You don't show weird shit like that in movie theaters. You don't show... Oh, I see a lot of these at film festivals too, where they're walking around in a city, and then there's these little subtitles so aesthetically placed, and then they're lamenting about their life, or oh, I miss being a kid. I miss the times when I was a little kid. That's not a fucking movie, bro. I hate to say it, but it's not a movie. It's a video. It's an artsy video project. There's a distinct difference between making a film and an artsy video project like that, okay? Like, I hate to break this stuff to you, man, but honestly, there's a lot of delusion in the world right now, and there's a lot of idiocy in the world right now, and I don't know what it is, but so many people are just half brain dead now. I don't know what happened in 5 years, but people have just become brain dead, and have zero critical thinking whatsoever. So, we have people like this who just make these not films and then say, I'm a filmmaker. You're not a filmmaker. You are a great camera cinematographer operator, and you make reels. Like, just be real, bro. No pun intended there, but be real. Like, honestly, be real, dude. Like, please. It's like, yeah, I have 2 articles on me. Yeah, I have IMDb credits. No, I'm not doing that for attention. I'm doing it because I am asked by these such companies, these papers, who reach out to me first. What, am I gonna say no? No, I don't want press. The fuck? These motherfuckers. It's cause they know that they're not making films, and then they wonder, why am I not getting these? It's like, you're not making films. Why would a magazine reach out to filmmakers and then to filmmakers, and then you wonder why you're not being reached out to? Because you're not making films, bro. You're making creative art, but it's not a film. It's not a film. Nothing you're doing is a film. God damn, it's not that hard to comprehend. But anyways, my point being with all of that is there's an epidemic of these kids out there right now. And I'm living this. This is not an online thing. I am a student filmmaker as of right now, when I'm recording this video, Saturday, July 12th, 1722. That I am living this. And it is honestly painful. This makes me want to be like George, bro, and just be totally pulled away. Because he was totally pulled away from Hollywood because of how annoying and weird and gross they were. I'm like that with these weird film kids. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't want to be part of that. And your weird films? You're not making films. Some motherfucker. I was at a film festival. Some motherfucker made a film of someone climbing a cliff. And then Crowman. Climbing cliff again. Crowman. Credits. That's not a film, dude. That was all. And then the best part is the next day there's a panel for these people. This kid goes, well, I was at the national park with my dad, and I really thought it would be cool to film on a cliff and get some shots. And then I was like, wait, what if I saw a crow there? I was like, what if we made the crow big? It's like, wow, I'm so glad that you have such massive creative input, that you were able to come up with the idea of making a crow character. Wow. Your creativity is endless. And this is what these people, this side of the industry wants. This is what they want in our theaters. This junk, this shit, no one will watch. And that's the thing, is it will never be in our theaters because no one wants to watch it. No one. No one wants to watch this shit because it's shit. No one cares. No one cares about your Crowman. No one cares about you lamenting about, oh, this I miss being little. You know what? Grow up, bro. Like, these are all things. No one cares about your stupid aesthetic Instagram reels that you are dying to put on a bigger screen. Like, no one gives a shit. And this is why they're not in theaters. This is why these kinds of things aren't going anywhere, because they never will. They're literally made for you to say, I make films, even though you don't. You are lying. You're not being real. Look, my film, what's it called? Fuck, I'm an idiot. What's the term? A portfolio. I don't have 17 things by now. As a senior in high school, I'm going into my senior year. Why? Because I make actual films with challenging pieces to them. And sure, they don't always turn out great because I'm always thinking beyond my limits. And that's both a strength and a weakness. So what I did a Star Wars short film. Was my first film ever. And for a first film ever, that was not terrible. Then I did a music video where I produced and directed. Then I did with a band that weren't high school kids. They were older people. We had a location in Long Beach. Complex. Next, I'm doing a full-length documentary, 45 minutes, on the making of Star Wars that I'm writing, narrating, directing, editing, and putting all the music in for. What is that? Narrative, research, narrative. That's a film. You know, it's like, and then I'm doing another one. I did another one after that even, which was a silent film with zero dialogue that I did and had to tell a story with zero dialogue. That worked because it got into, even they liked that one. I'm like, even these weird A24 people like that one. You know, it's weird. And then I'm doing another music video, which is going to be crazy and huge. It's going to be, I'm trying to make it as big as I can, which is why I haven't done it yet, because I want to make sure I can make it huge. My whole thing is scale. I love making everything as big as it can be with my budget. Then after that, I'm doing another one that is a film, and it takes time. But no, I don't pump out 8 projects in a month because I'm making actual movies and writing scripts and producing it and giving it a budget and casting actors and doing all this, you know. And I challenge myself too. You know, I'm not like, you know, I'm not like just coming up with an idea that's super lame, has barely any story, doesn't mean anything, pumping it out, releasing it, and then going, done. because that's half-assing, and I don't like half-assing. So I overwork myself. I do above what I should be doing. And that's also both a strength and a weakness, because sometimes I need to reel it back. That's what I did for my latest film, Retribution. I reeled it back. It was still my creative vision. I just wasn't as insane in terms of, like, not insane, but like insane. Like, what the hell are you doing insane? I toned it, I reeled it back a little bit. And that one was one of the best ones I've done. And it's like, goes to show where ambition's important, but being too ambitious is dangerous, you know? Yeah, but that's that. So, with that said, George Lucas and Lucas Museum of Narrative Art is crucial in the fight for better student filmmaking. Better early filmmaking for anyone, not even if you're a student or not, but just people getting into film. They need to see and be inspired by things that aren't Instagram reels. And I think that this is a great way to do that. And I'm thrilled, very, very thrilled to be part of that in the tiniest way, you know? And whether I was officially part of it or not, I would be promoting it everywhere, you know? I don't care. That's the thing. George has done way more for me than the vast majority of people. So, and I haven't even seen him physically. I haven't even met him yet. And he's done more for me than most people ever have done, you know, mentally. So, yeah. I mean, I don't care. There's no price that I ever would have to be paid to help that man out at all. You know, you know, he's done a lot for me. So, yeah. So with that said, that's my whole spiel on the importance of having something like this and this epidemic of this uncreativity that's everywhere. You know, and it's like, you're really going to criticize me for making something Star Wars with a completely original characters and a completely new story while trying to tie it with mythological lines that align with George Lucas's vision. And you're going to call me that's unoriginal. But what's original is you watching some old French movie and then completely redoing it in your own way. And not writing a script for it and making it all film aesthetic, and you're going to call that an original film, and then criticize me for writing and coming up with my own characters and diving into my story. It's like, doesn't make sense, but yeah. So with that said, is this George thing is a big deal, because this is kickstarting that whole museum, which isn't a Star Wars full thing, and that's not its whole purpose. Its purpose is to dive even deeper and more into George's storytelling mind and what's important to him and what will inspire people. That's, you know, and the collection is handpicked by him. So that's the importance of it. So, with that said, I believe that this panel should only be filled with people who have respected George, who have loved and cherished George over these tumultuous 13 years of Disney reign. I think that Disney fans, the shills, I think that we collectively, as George Lucas supporters, should not let those people in line. Because honestly, that's bullshit. Because what if they, you know, as Luthen once said, what have I sacrificed? Everything. You know, we have sacrificed everything for George's vision of Star Wars. We don't get, I mean, everything in terms of like Star Wars land, you know. We don't get to go to all the fancy premieres. We don't get to be mentioned by Lucas. You know, like, we've given all that up for the truth, for what really needs to be done. You know, and they haven't. They've given nothing to George. They've thrown him under the bus constantly. They ignore the importance of his vision. They say his time's over, it's Disney's time now, and it's their story now. It's like, shut the fuck up. I swear, if I see one of them there, I'm not speaking to them. Because why are you even there in the first place? Yeah, we should have actual gatekeepers that discourage the Disney fans from showing up. That would be so cool. You know, like, you get in, no, you shouldn't really go to this. What have you done that really, it's like, no, get the fuck out of the line. You know what I'm saying? Or someone who's like, I guess I'll wait in line for the George Lucas panel. Wait over here, we'll let the real fans in. You can come in later if you want. That's a system we should have. This should really be for George's fans. And not just George Lucas's Star Wars fans, but fans of George Lucas, the man. Of his filmmaking endeavors. People, his philanthropic endeavors. Those kind, like, just George Lucas fans. Not just someone who says, oh, I love the prequels. Great, but that doesn't mean that you support George and you support this and that. It just means you like the prequels, but you could very much still talk shit on George without realizing it. And that's what I'm saying. I think there should be kind of like, we as fans and as people who respect George should try to keep those fake people out because they don't deserve to be in there. This is the one time that we get something, that has George there and isn't polluted by Disney. And that should really be for us, we earned it, we deserved it. And this isn't for those people who constantly, just shit on us, shit on George, and shit on Star Wars. It sucks that seeing these people go to everything and be loved by Lucasfilm when all they do is shit on Star Wars. It's like, I don't understand. All you're doing is shitting on Star Wars. All day long, you shit on Star Wars. Oh, this Disney thing, it's above the Phantom Menace, it's above Return of the Jedi. Fuck you. Like, honestly, like, that's shitting on Star Wars. You're promoting something not Star Wars to shit on Star Wars. Like, and then you're the one who's getting all the love from, it's like, God, bro. This is why I want to take Lucasfilm over. I would change the game. Give me Star Wars Theory. Just Ryan Kennel, bro. Get us all in Lucasfilm. We would fire everybody. Dude, we'd do what Disney did. We'd wipe everyone out and then bring all the good people back in. We'd make everyone re-interview. Oh my gosh. Dude, it would be crazy. You know how James Gunn is saving DC right now? It'd be like that times 10. Like, you would be like tweaking on the floor from how insanely we'd change Star Wars, dude. I mean, holy crap. I mean, I'd greenlight the Underworld series. You'd get Underworld. You'd see that show happen. And no, I'm not one of these people who thinks I know how to make Star Wars because I put Anakin Skywalker TV show. Dude, I hate when people say they know Star Wars and they love the prequels and then they love Obi-Wan, they love Book of Boba Fett, they love all that crap, and then they say, I know what I'd do. I'd make an Anakin TV show. Tell me the plot. Clone Wars flashback. That's the kind of brain-dead fan service stuff that people don't want. We'd make real, new Star Wars stories. Sure, it's gonna have the characters from the original saga in it because it's in Star Wars, so those characters exist and they need to be used. They're not just ignored, like what Disney does. Where they like to just pretend, oh, Luke Skywalker, who's that? Or, oh, Darth Vader, who's that? It's like, no, you gotta they're there, they're prominent, they have to be in it. You know, if the story calls for it. So it's like, Underworld would have had Obi-Wan, it would have had Maul, would have had Vader, would have had Palpatine, but like limited to where they needed to be, you know? And yeah, man, it would be sick. So that's more like what my tone, my style of leadership would be. It would be telling stories that align with George's vision, but aren't just straight fan service. You know, that's not just like fan films. They're well, like the stereotypical fan film. You know, like they're well thought out, real stories, but are Star Wars. You know, and that's what it would be. Yeah, which is thrilling. So I have a proposition. You know, I bought my ticket. I'm hoping I get my ticket. We will see. Even if I don't get my ticket, might try to sneak in, not gonna lie. Probably won't be able to. 99% chance I won't be able to. Probably not 99, more like 95. 95% chance I won't be able to. Because I can't let this opportunity surpass. But, yeah, I think it would be a good idea if we did do that. If we just, and I know, again, probably won't happen, but if we just filtered those guys out because they need to fuck themselves, I think that'd be a good idea. And, you know, Theory's going to be there, actually, which is really cool. So I'll get to see him, say hi to him, love him too, love him. That guy is like the Superman of the Star Wars fandom right now. That guy's literally the only person keeping the fandom alive, you know. And I emphasize how important the fandom is. You know, it's an important piece of loving Star Wars. I mean, having that friend or two to go to and just like talk about it and laugh about it and love it, and you know, that's go to the comic store and be all excited about what they have, and going to downtown Disney or Disneyland and being at Galaxy's Edge. That's so important to being a fan. It grows your love of Star Wars so much. Every time, you know, you have those like experiences, those moments with communally loving Star Wars with someone, with a group of people, that's special. And not just some guy who says he loves Star Wars and has only seen the original trilogy. That's not a fan. I mean a real fan, someone like me who has given a shit about this for pretty much my entire life, endlessly, relentlessly, and has just loved it from day one. Just loved it, you know. And there's never been a moment where I'd say I'd ever disliked Star Wars or doubted Star Wars or been like, I don't know if I still like this. I've just loved it since day one. And that's the power of Star Wars, is there's nothing else like it. There's no world like Star Wars, you know? And it's taught me the importance of keeping my head in reality, keeping my head in my religion and Christianity. You know, it's taught me the importance of control, of being good, of sticking up for the truth, of doing what you need to do, you know, and I live that way. I live Star Wars has taught me the way to live. God literally used Star Wars, and this is the craziest part, is God literally used Star Wars as a gateway to him. And I'm not even exaggerating or kidding. And I mean, that tells you how God will get in your life in any way. In the weirdest ways. He got into my life through a movie franchise. And that tells you the importance of the movie franchise. I mean, he was always in my life since I was like little. I was baptized Catholic as a kid. But like, I feel like I wasn't really like putting importance or emphasizing the importance of God until 5 or 6 years ago, you know, and then it just kept blowing up and getting bigger and bigger to where now I'm like obsessed. You know, I left Protestantism. I'm a Catholic. I'm devoted. You know, sure, I'm human. You know, I'm human, and I, you know, have flaws, because that's what happens when you're human. You know, I'm not Jesus. I'm not God. No one is. No human being on earth is God. That's just not how it is. And sure, you know, I'm different. I'm not your stereotypical American Christian who you know, likes to have this aesthetic of the guitar, the acoustic guitar in the sunset in the beach, and I'm not that. You know, I am, you know, I come from a family of Catholics. On my dad's side, my grandpa was a Catholic, and he like was the most, I guess, Christ-like person that I'd ever interacted with. He was light, he was joy, he was hope. He'd been through hell. Like that guy was basically part of the Rebel Alliance. He fought against this empire, this evil empire, and it never stopped there. You know, then he went to a different place, and they were bombing him there, and he raised a family and got them out and brought them to America. And not only did he bring his family to America, he brought tons of extended family to America, and it started this thing, and he was the beacon of light that could bring everyone else to America. He gave everyone else that possibility. You know, and that's huge. So with that in mind, and then I look at my more Protestant, my mom's side's Protestant, and they're your stereotypical American Christian, and I'll think that that's right at all. The way that they do things, the way they talk about other branches, the way they talk about each other, and you know how one's more Christian than the other. And I was always talked down as not as Christian because I'd actually gone through hard things, I'd actually dealt with difficult things, I'd actually gone through difficult relationships, and it's, you know, that weighs on you, and you're not going to be this cheerleader guy who's super bright all the time, you know. And they just thought that I was some fake non-believing person, and that's how they treat me. That's how they treat my knowledge of the Bible. That's how they treat everything. And I was like, you know what? And then not only that, then I go to youth group at a Protestant church, get the same treatment. I just didn't fit in their stereotype. You have to fit their mold or else you're not like them, you know, and that's how the Protestant church is. And as a Catholic, you feel accepted no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. If you were a drug dealer and you quit, or you went to jail, or you're just like me, you're just a guy, or, you know, I don't know, like you can come from every walk of life at the Catholic Church and feel accepted, feel loved, you know. You feel the importance of God. It's not just an aesthetic. When you're at a Catholic church, you feel like this is serious. This is not a way for me to dance around with my friends. This is an actual spiritual experience, and I am encountering the Lord on earth. That is what going to a Catholic church is. And what do they make you do? You know, greet each other with the Lord's peace, you know, and you have to turn around and you have to shake hands with someone you've never met, and you have to greet them, say hello, be friendly, you know, and that's the power of the Catholic Church. You know, it's the news and the media who hates it because it is powerful. And the people and the polar opponents of the people who oppose, and they're the Catholic Church is the media is the opponent of the Catholic Church. We try to love everyone. We try to be nice to everyone at first. But then the media is run by them, and they hate us. They want us to die. They want to rule the world, and they do. We are like the good in the world, and they are bad. Good versus evil. The evil people want to hate us, therefore they're going to do anything to try to get less people on our side. And they like emphasizing certain news stories and not emphasizing others. So the Catholic Church has a bad rap now because of what the fake news media has done. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. And now us Catholics, the ones who are committed, are really committed. It's kind of shaked out the fakes, and we try to draw them back and bring them the true importance of it, and they just don't understand. Dancing around on stage and singing with electric guitars with the band and going to your youth group camps, which are absolutely not about God, and they pretend like they are, but they're not. They sneak off and have sex with their friends at those camps, and they are there to hang out with their friends for a little bit and get away from home so that they can do things. That's what those camps are for. They are not for honoring God. Give me a break. The only ones that are like mission trips where they go out to these like tiny countries and have to eat like weird food when they're actually serving. That's a youth group camp. But going out and celebrating with your friends, that's not some God spiritual bonding time. Trust me. I went to one, hated it. Oh my gosh, it was awful. It was so awful, and all those people there were awful. But yeah, Star Wars is the reason for that. Is I saw I'd gone to, I have a lot of different church exposure. I went to a Lutheran church, I went to a Protestant church, and I've been to a Catholic church. Right? So I've seen all three. And they're all different. They all have their own view of things. And I always thought that was weird. I was like, if there's this thing that's concrete, which God said, Jesus told Peter that he was going to be, basically the stone of the church, and that he was the one to make it happen, and then there's this lineage, and I was like, why do these people just think they can ignore that? I'm like, why do the, and I was like, it's weird, it's confusing. And then I just really tried to look for some, I was like, I want an answer. I just want, like, why? Why are these people denying that? And then I looked at the most faithful servants in each branch. And I was like, how true are these people? The most faithful ones. There's always I went to the most faithful ones who are extreme in their branch. Who is the most Christ-like? And it was the Catholics. It was my grandpa. And that was really it. And Star Wars had a huge piece of that for me. Because what Star Wars teaches, and it was unintentional, partially, teaches Christian values. The whole thing. The Jedi, 100% Christian values, The real Jedi, which is compassion, love, whatever, peace, tranquility, calm, those are the emotional values that a Christian should be striving for. You know, they shouldn't be striving for pride, ego, power. That's the dark side. And it leads to corruption. And this is what George has said. You know, and taking that up with Star Wars is the one who gave me a clear look at that, you know, and was like, you can't do this without the Force or the Force's involvement, because the Force is around us. It's an energy field that penetrates all living things, you know, that whole thing. If you don't look into the light, the dark side's going to snap you and snatch you up in a minute. Because that's what he does. No one wants the dark side. No one wants that. So he has to tempt you and then snatch you like that. Because if he lets you look into the light for even half a second longer, there's no way you'd ever look at him. You know, and it's like, these are the things that... So Star Wars taught me the foundational teachings of light versus dark. You know, and Christianity, my religion, which I've always had, furthered that concept and grounded it in reality, which is the devil, the synagogue of Satan, all these things, the church, Jesus Christ, right? That's the split. And you either end up over here or you deny Christ and you're over here. Star Wars, what is it? If you deny the light, refuse to look at it, the dark side comes and gets you. Same thing. Same exact thing. It's like, it works so well. Like the Force literally, there's a quote in George's book, well, not George's book, but kind of George's book, by Paul Duncan, the Star Wars Archives, episodes 1 through 3, 1999 to 2005. Where there's a quote, George Lucas says, the Force is a metaphor for God. And it's really true, because you look at Christianity and you look at what's it called? The Jedi and their teachings. Completely similar. Almost the same. Sure, Christians, we don't have like laser swords and robes. We did, at one time, we had swords and armor. So I guess that's the closest, look. But the Jedi were not inspired by medieval knights. They were inspired by samurai and the Eastern side of things there, you know, for the robes and whatever. But spiritually speaking, it is very Christian. It is extraordinarily Christian, spiritually speaking. Sure, logically, you know, Christians don't carry weapons and they don't blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, sure. But spiritually, it's more Christian than you think. People are always like, oh, it's Taoism, it's this and that. It's like, yes, those were used. But it's unintentionally way more Christian than George meant it to be, which I find to be crazy. But yeah, so I've taken Star Wars above the typical person to where it's set. You know, I'm not like Star Wars is my religion. It's not. Catholicism, Jesus is my religion. Jesus is above anything else. Star Wars isn't even close to Jesus, obviously. Star Wars is like in the floor, and Jesus is above the Twin Towers in heaven. Twin Tower. Oh, I meant the Chrysler Building. Jesus Christ. Why would I say that? You know what I mean. Above the sky, he's like up there and stars on the ground. Comparatively, the power, you know. So, with that said, Star Wars has had a religious effect on me, you know. So, it's above like, oh, it's just a hobby. It's like, no, this has literally saved me from hell. Saved me from falling down. Star Wars has done more for me religiously than the Protestant church entirely. I will say, like, I felt more in God's presence, with God, watching, like, The Empire Strikes Back at that Dagobah sequence, more than going to church. And I'm like, I learned more. I'm like, this is not right, you know? And that was another one of the things. I was like, okay. Then you go to a Catholic church and it's like blows Star Wars out of its territory in terms of that kind of stuff, you know? And it's like, shit. How do people not wake up to this? Why? Because they're brainwashed as kids. That's why. But I had the 3 church experience, you know? So it's cool. But Star Wars, you know, I've talked about this a lot, but it's my life. You know, Star Wars, to be honest with you, when people think of me, they probably think of Star Wars first. Because I've kind of made that me. The Star Wars, Batman, movies, and Iron Man, bro. That's me, pretty much, in a nutshell. Yeah, but that's really it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, share. Can't wait to see George. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, that will be live streamed somewhere. Probably. Hopefully, but we'll see. I started a Rumble account. That way I don't have to, what's it called? Stand by YouTube's weirdness. Because they still won't let me live stream. God knows who put that restriction up, but I'll do some more research. If I can live stream on YouTube, that's great. If not, then we're going to go on Rumble, which is unfiltered. I could say whatever I want on there and they won't ban me, which is great, honestly. So, yeah, I will see you guys soon with the Grievous story. Leave a like, subscribe, share. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. May the Force be with you.